The Roman Empire at the turn of the 4th century was, to put it mildly, a mess. After decades of emperors lasting about as long as a carton of milk, a man named Diocletian had a brilliant idea. He created the Tetrarchy, which is a fancy way of saying he split the world's most powerful job between 4 people. The goal was to make succession stable. Instead, it created a 4-way political reality show where the prize for losing was usually a knife in the back. There were 2 senior emperors, the Augusti, and 2 junior emperors, the Caesars. When an Augustus retired, his Caesar would take over and pick a new junior. It was a beautiful, elegant system on paper, drawn up by people who had apparently never met another human being. Because when Diocletian actually did retire, the whole thing immediately exploded into a multi-generational, empire-spanning brawl for control. Into this chaos steps our guy, Constantine. He wasn't some nobody. His dad, Constantius, was a Caesar in charge of Britain and Gaul. But for years, Constantine was kept as a polite hostage in the court of the Eastern Emperor, Galerius, just to make sure his dad behaved. This meant he grew up watching the absolute pinnacle of Roman political backstabbing from a front row seat. Think of it as the world's most dangerous internship. When his father got sick, Constantine executed a dramatic high-speed escape across the empire to be at his side, allegedly hamstringing every post horse behind him so no one could follow. It's a great story, probably not true, but it tells you what kind of person we're dealing with. Crucially, he wasn't a Christian, not even a little. His preferred deity was Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. It was a cool, generic, masculine sun god, perfect for a soldier with ambition. When his father finally died in York in 306 AD, his dad's soldiers did what Roman soldiers always did when they didn't have immediate adult supervision. They just acclaimed Constantine as the new Augustus. This was, to be clear, a complete violation of the Tetrarchy's carefully crafted rules. It was the political equivalent of your dad's company naming you CEO just because you showed up. The other emperors were, predictably, not thrilled. This kicked off a series of civil wars that would make your head spin. Constantine's primary rival was a fellow named Maxentius, the son of a former emperor, who had pulled a similar stunt and taken over Italy and North Africa. So now you have 2 ambitious sons of powerful men, both with huge armies, both claiming legitimacy, staring each other down across the Alps. This wasn't a fight about policy or the future of Rome. It was a dynastic feud with legions. As Constantine marched towards Rome to deal with Maxentius, something interesting happened. Or at least a fantastic story was told later. The legend says he saw a vision in the sky, a cross of light above the sun with the words, "In hoc signo vinces." In this sign, you will conquer. Now, did this actually happen? Maybe. But a smart politician doesn't need a miracle, just a good marketing opportunity. Christianity was a fast-growing, highly organized, and deeply committed minority group within the empire. They were also regularly persecuted, which meant they were looking for a champion. Constantine, a sun worshipper, supposedly saw a sign in the sky and immediately understood its complex Trinitarian theological implications. Or, a much more likely scenario, he saw a solar halo, a natural phenomenon, and his advisors helped him spin it into a brilliant piece of psychological warfare. He was about to fight for the capital city. He needed every edge he could get. The final showdown happened at the Milvian Bridge, just outside Rome, in October 312. Maxentius had every advantage. He was defending the city, he had more troops, and he controlled the established infrastructure. So, naturally, he decided to abandon his secure defensive position within the Aurelian walls, cross the Tiber River, and meet Constantine in the open field. Brilliant! To make this decision even better, he arranged his army with their backs to the river, relying on a rickety temporary pontoon bridge as their only escape route. What could possibly go wrong? When Constantine's forces charged, Maxentius's army started to buckle. The retreat turned into a panicked rout back toward the bridge. The bridge, which was never designed to hold thousands of terrified men in heavy armor, collapsed. Maxentius, in all his gilded armor, fell into the river and drowned along with thousands of his best men. Constantine didn't just win, his enemy managed to spectacularly defeat himself. After taking Rome, Constantine met with Licinius, the emperor in the east, and together they issued the Edict of Milan in 313. History class often presents this as the moment Christianity became the official religion. It absolutely did not. The edict was basically a universal declaration of religious tolerance. It stated that everyone, Christians and pagans alike, was free to worship whatever god they wanted. It also ordered the return of confiscated church property. This wasn't an act of pious faith. It was a profoundly pragmatic piece of statecraft. The last major persecution under Diocletian had been a bloody, divisive failure. Constantine saw that persecuting this group was more trouble than it was worth. Granting them freedom, on the other hand, earned him the undying loyalty of a significant, well-organized portion of the population. He didn't join the club, he just realized the club could be incredibly useful to him. Tolerance is great, but sole rulership is better. The peace between Constantine and Licinius didn't last, because of course it didn't. By 324, Constantine had defeated Licinius and finally became the one and only emperor of the Roman Empire. He'd put the whole fractured mess back together. But he quickly discovered a new problem. The Christians he had so cleverly co-opted couldn't agree on the most basic details of their own faith. Specifically, they were tearing each other apart over the nature of Jesus. A priest in Alexandria named Arius was teaching that Jesus was created by God the Father, and therefore not co-eternal with him. This was called Arianism. To a modern ear, this sounds like splitting hairs. To the 4th century church, this was a soul-damning crisis that was causing riots in the streets. Constantine, the new sole emperor, looked at this theological civil war and saw a threat to the stability of his newly unified empire. Constantine's solution was typically Roman. If you have a problem, throw an enormous state-funded committee at it. In 325, he convened the First Council of Nicaea. He paid for hundreds of bishops from all over the empire to travel, stay in nice places, and debate. Constantine himself presided over the opening of the council, decked out in purple and gold. He likely understood almost none of the complex Greek metaphysical arguments being thrown around. His goal wasn't to discover the one absolute theological truth. His goal was unity. He wanted a single, unified church that could act as a kind of spiritual glue for his single, unified empire. He just wanted them to pick a side, write it down, and make everyone agree. When the council finally hammered out the Nicene Creed, affirming that the Son was of one substance with the Father, Constantine was thrilled. Not because he had a deep spiritual breakthrough, but because the meeting was finally over and he had a document everyone could be forced to sign. Once Christianity was established as the emperor's preferred brand, the perks started rolling in. This wasn't just tolerance anymore. This was active sponsorship. Constantine poured unbelievable amounts of public money into building magnificent churches, like the original St. Peter's Basilica in Rome and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. Suddenly, Christian bishops were important state officials. The clergy were exempted from taxes, a privilege that made a career in the church look a whole lot more attractive. The church could now inherit property, and it began to accumulate vast amounts of land and wealth. Within a single generation, Christianity went from a persecuted, marginalized sect to the most powerful and wealthy institution in the Western world, besides the state itself. It was the most successful corporate takeover in history, and it was all because one ambitious general saw a political opportunity where everyone else saw only a weird cult. After a lifetime of brutal politics, civil war, and even ordering the execution of his own wife and eldest son, Constantine did one last, profoundly clever thing. He waited until he was on his deathbed in 337 AD to actually get baptized and officially become a Christian. Why wait? Because the sacrament of baptism was believed to wash away all previous sins, all of them. By waiting until the very end, Constantine essentially got a complete spiritual reset button for a life filled with actions that were, to put it mildly, not very Christ-like. It was the perfect fusion of his political pragmatism and his newfound faith. He used the church to secure his power in life, and then he used its doctrines to secure his soul in death. Was he a true believer? A cynical manipulator? The answer is probably yes. He saw the future, and he made sure he owned it. He didn't so much adopt Christianity as he made Christianity adopt him. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more historical insights. Thanks for watching, nerds!